there's this quote-unquote kids show called Leo and Layla. It's kind of like Caleb and Sophia, but for like right-wing nutcases. And this episode is titled Meet a Holocaust Survivor, Leo and Layla's History Adventures, PragerU Kids. And I happen to know a lot about World War II. And so I just kind of want to go through and see if they get anything right and if they get anything wrong. Let's give it a Holy Christ, dude, this cat. You can't be up here, cat.
If you pick her up and put her over here, I'll keep her.
It's okay. I don't want to get up because then I have to put the green screen down. Right. All right. Anyway, let's listen to this video here.
Before we start this episode, here's a quick preview of what's coming. Travel through time with Leo and...
No, thank you, madam. That's going to be a pass for me.
Layla, why is your door closed? Is everything okay?
Not now, Leo. I need some space.
Come on, sis. You can tell me.
All right. Someone broke into my friend Hannah's locker and drew a swastika. When we found it, she got so upset she almost cried. I've never seen her so shocked and hurt.
PragerU was created by Dennis Prager, who, by the way, I don't know if you guys knew this, he fell in the shower a year ago after Trump won and is paralyzed from the neck down now. Did you know?
I didn't.
Yeah. Dennis Prager, paralyzed from the neck down. He's a Christian nationalist and also Jewish, bizarrely.
Swastika? You mean that evil sign the Nazis wore on their uniforms? That's terrible. But why would a drawing make her cry?
Hannah's Jewish, Leo. Her great-grandparents had to leave Germany when the Nazis came to power. They barely escaped the Holocaust.
Whoa, that makes more sense. But still, it's just a drawing, right?
That's what I thought.
Not really. The drawing has specific, meaning. The issue isn't that someone drew it, it's that someone wants her dead.
Specific meaning and connotations, yeah. Of course, I find it interesting that, these people regularly argue from a free speech perspective, quote unquote, that you should be able to put anything anywhere, including swastikas. You should be allowed to say the N-word or whatever. And of course, I agree you shouldn't be arrested for saying something like that or whatever. But why are you arguing that? Why is this the thing that the hill you want to die on when no one is being arrested for this?
I was gonna say, it's just a drawing in the same way the N-word is just a word, but it's bad because people were killed over it. Killed because of that. People suffered a lot, and the connotations of the word and of the drawing have much more meaning than the fact that they are words or drawings.
And these people...
And yeah, they're going to completely miss that point and ignore that point.
Being Jewish, I bet they're going to take a correct position for the most part, but Leo and Layla tend to twist and distort reality. And sometimes it's very, very subtle if you don't know the actual history really well. But I do know the history of this really well, so we'll see.
Someone said actually it was a Chinese good luck symbol before Germany stole it. Germany's is slightly different. In China, it's a line, a line, a line, a line. For the swastika, it's diagonal, pretty much. So they are visually slightly different. But yeah, Germany did take that.
Germany took it from the Indo-Iranian region, not from China. They took it from old stories, basically the Indian area. There were old stories like epic poems, like we have the Epic of Gilgamesh or the Odyssey and the Iliad. Well, they had a different set of stories in that region, the Indo-Iranian region, where they told stories about epic heroes they called Aryans. And the Nazis became completely obsessed with the epic stories and believed that they were the first blonde, blue-eyed people on planet Earth and everything, you know, the whole thing. But that's where the swastika came from. It was from the Indo-Iranian region specifically. I mean, the German swastika, not from China.
When I saw Hannah was upset, I tried to calm her down. I told her whoever drew it was just being dumb and to not worry about it. But then she wouldn't talk to me. She even looked scared. I feel like I should have done something different, but I'm not sure what.
This might be a good time for us to learn more about what happened during the Holocaust.
Good point. Maybe we'll understand more why Hannah got so upset.
Oh yeah, they have a time machine button thingy, if you couldn't tell. 2004. Jerusalem 2004. For an audio audience, that's where they are.
Where are we?
It doesn't look like we went back in time.
Yeah, this place looks like a spaceship, but I think it's a museum. Look at all those old pictures.
Shalom, children. What brings you to the Hall of Names?
The Hall of Names?
That's right. You're at Yad Vashem, Israel's memorial to the victims of the Holocaust.
Yeah, they actually have, I think, 4.3 million names, specifically of Jewish victims. And as we know, there were about 6 million victims. So that's pretty impressive. They're getting there. They're almost there.
Or as we say in Hebrew, the Shoah. This room holds the names and stories of Jews who were murdered by the Nazis. It's our way of remembering and honoring the Holocaust's 6 million victims.
6 million?
I knew that Jewish people were murdered. I just never realized it was that many.
Yeah, they're zeroing in on the number because this is a popular point of contention with white supremacists claiming that it wasn't 6 million, that it was like 100,000 really in their minds. And this is just, they were just like, everybody died on all sides. It was just a normal number of people that died. They weren't targeted it's just delusion.
But these kids are like, oh, wow, I didn't realize there was that many. People died, and you accept the fact that they died because they were Jewish. If you can accept the fact that someone died because of their belief system, you're wrong. You are just objectively wrong if you can say, oh, it's not that big of a deal.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
Sorry, I'm Layla, and this is my brother Leo. Maybe you can help us. It sounds like you know all about this place.
I should. My name is Miriam, and I'm a tour guide here at Yad Vashem. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
So, do all of these pictures show somebody who died in the Holocaust?
They do. We've spent years collecting pictures and testimonies from the victims' families. When another story comes in, we record it so it won't be forgotten.
Yeah, I believe it's the world's largest database of names, stories, and pictures. But it doesn't include non-Jews. It's specifically for Jews only.
But that's so many people. Did the Nazis really kill all of them?
They did, and many more than what you see here.
That's terrible. How can such an enormous, evil thing like the Holocaust even happen?
It started when a terrible, hateful man came to power.
I find it so fascinating that they aren't connecting the dots, that Donald Trump or somebody in the White House is reading a history book and following it word for word. Seriously. Like, somebody over there is looking at how Hitler rose to power, retained power, and crushed dissent, and they're copying it.
They said it started when a terrible evil man rose to power. It started before Hitler gained power. It started when he was attempting to gain power.
Yeah, the NSDAP, the original name for the Nazi Party, started in, I think, 1921. And he took power, or maybe it started in 1918 and he took power in 1921, over like he was the chairman or whatever. And eventually changed the name, I think, in 2022 to the Nazi Party, basically. 23, he did an insurrection attempt, much like January 6th, started in a beer hall. They called it the beer hall putsch. He went to jail for, he was sentenced to 5 years, but he only served 9 months out on good behavior. And he slowly eroded the culture from the time he got out onward. That's when he wrote Mein Kampf as well. He just slipped into, or he slipped racism and hate into the culture from the day he took power in the party all the way to the day he took power in the government in 1933.
Ivana used to say Trump kept Mein Kampf on his bedside. Yeah, I saw that.
I think she said he kept a book of Hitler's speeches on his bedside. Yeah. And Ivana, yeah. That's the only hard part for me to believe is that he read. I can't believe that he would actually even have a book in his house.
Maybe someone read it to him. I'm sure he had a servant.
Could be. That's possible.
Read him a bedtime story every night. Maybe he made her read it to him every night.
Yes. DAP 1919. Yeah. Deutsche Arbeiterpartei, which means German Workers' Party. And then the NSDAP is the Nationalsozialistische Deutsche Arbeiterpartei.
If they have a time machine, why'd they go to a memorial decades after the fact? I don't think they have control over when they go.
Right. Yeah. I think they'll probably end up going back. Maybe not.
Probably not.
Hitler, After World War I, Germany was in terrible shape. Hitler said that we Jews were the problem and that we needed to be eliminated.
Actually, he did. Yes, absolutely. He called them aliens, said they don't belong there, that
They were foreigners, immigrants.
Foreigners, yes. That's what he said. He attacked immigrants in an identical way to how Trump attacks immigrants today. I can't stand that people overlook that in these types of videos. They were anti-immigrant.
He even wrote a book about it, Mein Kampf. After he took over Germany and then most of Europe, his Nazis started rounding up Jews and sending them to concentration camps.
Concentration camps? Why would they send you to a camp to concentrate?
No, my dear Leo. A concentration camp is a horrible place.
It's actually just a camp where people are concentrated in high numbers. That's it. The German concentration camps, of course, were death camps, or some of them were. I think there were 6 death camps that were where most of the extermination happened. But the concentration camps were also work camps, not just the death camps. And the life expectancy for some of them was like 6 months. Others was 5 years. Some of them were less harsh than others, but you were still worked into the ground.
But they concentrate a specific group of people to do unspeakable things to them. The work is brutal, and the conditions are so terrible that many people die quickly. And that's the point. Have you heard of the word genocide?
I think so. It's really bad, right?
Very. Genocide is when a group of people try to completely wipe out another group. People have been targets for genocide because of their race, their religion, or the country they live in. And the Nazis targeted us for simply being Jewish. Hitler wanted to exterminate every Jew in Europe, and he built these camps to do just that.
That's awful. I can't believe anyone would create a place like that.
Remember, it was on purpose. Killing all the Jewish people was always their goal. By the time we're...
Yeah, they're hitting all of the white nationalist talking points where, you know, Nick Fuentes types of people will disagree with a lot of this. Like what she just said.
All the Jewish people was always their goal.
That killing the Jewish people wasn't the goal. Nick Fuentes will say that kind of thing all the time. And this was produced 9 months ago. And that's around the time that Fuentes started getting popular. The neo-Nazi wing of the Republican Party started to kind of rise to power. So that's probably why they released this.
By the time World War II ended, over 6 million of us had perished. So many families were destroyed, including my own. But my sister and I were lucky. We survived.
You survived the Holocaust?
I did.
That's incredible. My friend Hannah's great-grandparents left Germany to escape the Nazis.
Ah, they were fortunate. So many were not. Would you like to hear my story?
Sorry, her friend's great-grandparents had to leave Germany to escape the Nazis, and she's wondering why the Nazi symbol made Hannah cry.
Right?
Why
She
it made
didn't
her
know enough
sad?
about this? Yeah.
Yes, we really would.
It's a tragedy I cannot forget. When the Nazis conquered my home country of Hungary, the soldiers in charge of my town made life hard for us.
I believe at the time it was actually Austria-Hungary. It was a single place with those 2 names. And it spoke German predominantly. And really, Austria should be part of Germany. Logically, they speak the same language and they're from the same region and everything else. But after World War II, or I'm sorry, maybe after World War I, it logically would have made sense and they wanted to rejoin and everything. But yeah, it was after World War II, I think. But the Allies didn't want them to get a win out of World War II, so they refused to allow them to join.
All of us lost our rights. We couldn't own a radio or a telephone, and we all had to wear a yellow star on our sleeve. At night, any Jews found outside their home were severely punished.
Oh, that's terrible. But why did they make you wear a yellow star?
That star was a way to separate us from everyone else. It was a way of encouraging others to treat us differently and even cruelly because of our race.
It's interesting to note the things that they pay attention to in this as well, and the things that they ignore, right? Like they're ignoring all of the underlying racism, all of the underlying anti-immigrant hate, and all of the religious encouragement, like all of the Christian support of Hitler, all of the nationalism and everything else. They're ignoring all of it.
Someone pointed out that it's the same language with with a strong difference in accents.
Yeah, that's true. And there are a couple of videos of Hitler talking with just a normal voice, but like not yelling, because every time he gave a speech, he was always yelling, you know? And in the 2 or 3 videos that exist of him speaking just to another person, he has a strong a strong Austrian accent. Impossible to miss. I think that's fascinating.
Because of our race. After we were forced to wear them, fewer and fewer people would do business with my father. Before long, that yellow star meant that we could not go to certain places or even own property.
It all sounds so awful. Did you try to escape?
A few people tried, but we thought they were overreacting. We'd heard rumors of much worse things happening to Jews in other towns, but we didn't think they were true.
Didn't any of your non-Jewish friends stand up for you?
Some did, but unfortunately not enough.
You know what she said a second ago? If you had gone back to 1890 and gone to different European countries, you would have thought that the Holocaust would have started in France rather than Germany. There was way more anti-Semitism in France before the actual Holocaust than there was in Germany. And they just weren't really safe in Europe at all, honestly.
You see, Leo, Hitler's views were so extreme that even people who opposed him didn't think he was serious. And by the time he was in power, many were too scared to act and looked the other way. He could have been stopped earlier, but he wasn't. Therein lies the tragedy.
Oh, so what happened next?
One day, my whole family was forced onto a train and taken to Auschwitz, the deadliest concentration camp. It took several days, and the train was so crowded we could not sit down. When we arrived, the guards separated us. My parents and my brother went one way, and my sister and I another.
When they got there, is that what she said?
Yeah.
It took several days, and the train was so crowded we could not sit down. When we arrived, the guards separated us. My parents and my brother went one way, and my sister and I another.
Yeah, when they got there, I have a picture that I want to show you guys, but when they got there, they separated people into those who could work and those who were too old to work or too young to work. Those who were not of working age or were disabled in any way at all were sent to the gas chambers, and those who were of working age were sent to do slave labor to keep the war effort going.
So if you got separated, you pretty much were never going to see anyone ever again.
Right.
Whoever you were separated from.
Yes. This happened to Elie Wiesel, who was a young boy, went to Auschwitz, and he was standing in line, and the guards, or some guy walked up to him and said, "Tell him you're 16. And he said, "What?" He said, "Tell him you're 16. And then just kept walking. And he told him he was 16, even though he was like 13 or something. And it saved his life. He and his dad went to the work camp, and his mom and sister, I believe, were killed. Never saw them again. But there's a picture I was looking for. Let me find it. Hold on. It's in my book project. It's in my book, my actual book on this, Was Hitler an Atheist? I have a bunch of pictures that I pulled from old books that aren't even in print anymore. And the pictures that I put in there don't exist anywhere except for in my book, the book I pulled it from, and archives in Germany that the public can't access. I just want to show a couple of these interesting pictures that I have here. This is not Germany specifically. This is an 18-year-old prostitute in West Germany, 1991. And this is Katerina, I think is her name. And this is the same girl from inside an apartment. I'm just looking for the right picture here. This is a picture of what they called the Brown Synod. It was basically a cathedral or a church full of brown shirts. It was basically the Proud Boys of the time. It was Hitler's Proud Boys. This is really slow to load for some reason. I'm sorry.
She said that people were, they didn't think that anyone was being serious. That's why no one stood up for them. They left out the fact that they could be killed for hiding anyone. And people gave away the fact that they were hiding Jewish people just to avoid a death sentence, just to avoid being treated the exact same way Jewish people were being treated.
Here you go. This is what I was looking for. This is two boys waiting in line to get on the train to go to Auschwitz. They had no idea what was coming. They had no idea
They
what
have all
happened
their
next.
stuff packed. They're holding stuff.
Yep. It was pretty horrifying, honestly, the whole thing.
I
And
think that soon, if not now, we're going to get to the point where we have to be hiding people.
we're there.
Yeah.
We should be hiding
Um,
immigrants right now.
There was a video of this lady. She had 2 gardeners working outside of her house, and ICE showed up. And she basically shooed ICE away, told them to get out. And as soon as they left, the gardeners started like freaking out, grabbing their stuff, saying, "I have to get out of here. I have to get out of here." And she said, "No, you two go wherever you need." And then made sure that ICE wasn't coming back for them. I think that that's what we have to be doing, if not keeping them inside of our house. There are people who work at my job who I assume that they have their papers because they work somewhere. They kind of have to if they're working. But I am 100% prepared to lie and hide them if ICE comes knocking at our job, like at our door.
It's horrifying that we found ourselves in this situation. And it's even more horrifying that PragerU sees how bad this was and is not connecting the dots. What happened?
Sister and I, another. That was the last time we were all together.
Do you know what happened to your family?
Crematorium, probably.
Several months later, I learned that my mother and my brother didn't survive.
I'm so sorry. How did you and your sister survive in such a horrible place?
Any way we could. Fortunately, our job was delivering messages.
Again, like the lifespan there was something like 16 months, I think. If you got to the work camp, you'd probably make it about 16 months. It's either Auschwitz or maybe I'm thinking of Sachsenhausen, but one of them was 16 months.
But the living conditions were terrible. As the weeks went on, my sister grew pale and bony from not having enough to eat. When the guards marched us 30 miles to another camp, the journey was freezing.
Death march, probably. They would just force you to march, and anybody who fell was shot. They walked them to death. Although I think the survival rate was like 63% for death marches. That's still pretty low.
It was a miracle that I made it.
30 miles on an empty stomach? How did you keep going?
I kept going for my sister. When she became very sick, I was there to help her. And when I was sick, she helped me. Through it all, we stayed together. And that made all the difference. We were able to survive long enough to witness a miracle.
A miracle?
One day, we noticed the guards were not at their post. We went outside and saw American soldiers outside the camp. Suddenly, we were free. And then
Okay, I don't think that was a miracle. I think that was sacrifice on countless people's parts to make it happen. And we should have deep reverence and respect for people who were willing to die to, help others. Absolutely. But I don't think we can attribute that to God.
a new chapter of my life began.
Wow. What happened next?
When the war ended, my sister and I returned to our hometown and found our father in a hospital. He had survived a different camp
Wow, that's crazy.
and lived to tell.
I mean, is this even a real story? This could just be made up
Probably
for
not,
the.
yeah.
I've never heard this story before. But, this is a common story, this kind of thing.
He had survived a different camp and lived to tell about it. We could only cry and praise God that we were together again.
Now I'm gonna cry. You must have been so relieved to find him and have such a terrible time in your life behind you.
Indeed, I was. As a young woman, I started my new life in America. I loved the United States so much for giving me that life.
Well, they didn't like you at the time.
Yeah, someone pointed out that's American exceptionalism.
Yes. And also, America turned away freighters full of Jews on multiple occasions, specifically this one very famous occasion. This is why we have asylum laws like we have. If someone's being persecuted in another country, they can come over the border and go to the nearest refugee center and apply for asylum. And their case will be adjudicated, determined if they really are facing persecution. And if they are, they're allowed to stay here. And while the process plays out, they're allowed to stay until a determination is made. That's why there is a hole in the border in the first place, because it's a humanitarian corridor for people who are suffering this type of thing to come through. That's why we have these laws, because that ship was turned around and sent back to Europe, where all of the people were put into concentration camps and killed. All of them, pretty much. And we're erasing that whole underpinning, that whole moral reasoning that we had for protecting people is being eliminated. So, like, she's saying America is the best place and they helped me and all of that. That is not true. That is not how it happened. That is not reality. And Prager is supporting the administration, the movement that is erasing people like her's ability to survive these types of situations in the first place. It's disgusting. Sign up for my Patreon. I'd really appreciate that very much. It would mean so much to me. This is like a really precarious moment in history, in U.S. history, and for me personally. So it would mean a lot if you signed up for my Patreon. Check out cultarchive.org. I did a cult test, basically, where you can see if you're in a cult. And you can look at the historical tests of other groups that already went through this. Also, check out my merch. I have a whole bunch of really cool shirts and stuff. Really interesting. I would really appreciate that.
Giving me that life. And once a year, I visit this museum in Israel to pay respect to those who perished.
It's so brave of you to share such a painful story.
Wait, once a year she visits this place, but she's a tour guide here? Didn't she say she lived in America, but she's a tour guide here? That doesn't make any sense.
Thank you, Layla. And it wasn't easy to start telling it. For most of my life, I didn't even want to talk about what happened. But before my sister passed away, she encouraged me to tell our story. What happened, she said, happened because nobody fought back. Our story must be told so people will fight next time. She's right, I thought.
It's crazy that they're saying this, knowing that they're so pro-Trump.
Yeah.
They make this story and talk about it, and then look around at America and look around at what we're doing to people. And they say, but it's different though. Oh, but they're immigrants. But they're aliens. As if that's not exactly what Hitler said.
Word for word. He called them cockroaches, he called them vermin, and he called them immigrants. Even though they had been there for hundreds of years, they were not immigrants. He called them immigrants.
Every generation faces great evil. But if good people stay silent or forget, then the unprotected will suffer.
Hello? Is this not connecting? Really? You got gummy bears in your ears? You're not seeing what's happening around you?
Forget, then the unprotected will suffer again. And everything we do here will be in vain.
What are you thinking, Layla?
I'm thinking we should head back now. I have a friend that I need to speak up for. Miriam, thank you so much again for sharing your story with us.
It is my honor and duty, children. And if you should ever return here, more names and stories of the Shoah will be here waiting for you.
I really hope we can. It's so important to remember.
I agree.
Good. When people like you take my Holocaust story to heart, evil does not stand a chance.
If you really want to read a good one, Elie Wiesel's story is great. Anne Frank's story is really good. Anne Frank was living in basically like a part of an office. It was like what do you call it? An annex. Yes, it was an annex in an office where a big shelf was placed in front of the entrance to it, and they didn't leave the room for like 2 years or something. And somebody reported them. Somebody reported them and took them off to Auschwitz, I think. And I believe that Anne Frank died like 2 months before it was liberated or something like that. Her dad survived and found her journals there and published them. It was a really interesting read. Have you ever read it?
No, I haven't.
It's pretty crazy.
I wanted to, but I haven't.
So be courageous, not silent.
We promise, Miriam. Goodbye.
I'm really glad you spoke out, Layla. I wanted to tell the principal about that ugly swastika, but when I saw it, I just froze. It was like all the stories of my great-grandparents suddenly became real.
Hannah, I should have stood up for you right away. I saw how scared you were, but I didn't understand how much of a big deal it really was. Then a friend showed me what really happened during the Holocaust and what happens when you don't stand up against things you know are wrong. I'm so sorry I let you down.
Like, I don't understand how they can have such strong cognitive dissonance where they can support what's happening under Trump, cheer for it, like elect him again, write propaganda films on his behalf, and then say this stuff. It's mind-boggling.
It's okay. Forgive you. And if you hadn't spoken up, we might not have had that school assembly about it. I think that really helped. We need to keep reminding everyone about what happened. How hate and
Bro, she's got a weird face.
racism nearly destroyed my people during the Holocaust.
We won't let people forget. If we tell everyone we can, maybe we can stop things like this from ever happening again.
Hello? Again, I say, what is going on? How are you missing this? It is literally happening. Not the Holocaust where they're murdering people en masse, but Alligator Alcatraz, the reports coming out of there are horrifying. People literally being served food with worms in it, maggots. People being forced to eat and drink off the ground with their hands tied behind their back or handcuffed behind their back like a dog. And that specific tactic is from China during the Korean War. People who were captured as prisoners of war were subjected to mind control experiments where that kind of thing happened to them, forced to eat off the ground like a dog. And now they're doing that in Alligator Alcatraz, or they were just a month ago or 2 months ago, whenever.
The Holocaust isn't happening, but the beginning points, everything that led up to the Holocaust is happening.
Yeah,
And
identically.
And they ignore it purposefully.
Until 1937 or somewhere in there, Hitler was trying to get them out. He wanted them out of Europe. He wanted them out of Germany, and even made a deal with Zionists in, I'm not saying Zionist as an insult. I'm saying that's what they call themselves, Zionists, in the Middle East. He made a deal where they could keep most of their stuff if they just left and went to the Palestine region. But there came a day in 37, I think maybe, where he locked the doors and everybody was trapped. They couldn't leave anymore. And he started shipping them off to concentration camps. So right now we're somewhere in 33, 34, in that vicinity.
Thank you, Layla, for being brave, for sticking up for me. You're a true friend.
I always will, Hannah. I promise.
Is that the end?
If you liked time traveling with Leo and Layla, watch more of their event.
Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of American exceptionalism in there. And there was also a heavy focus on the evils of racism against Jews, but completely ignored large swaths of the issue of what happened at the time and why it was a problem in the first place. Overall, I think it was one of their less bad episodes, but it was still complete BS. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments.